Today I got an exclusive interview with Judy Lachowski, 2Pac's bodyguard, Michael Moore, his fiance. How did Michael Moore really die? Forget all of the rumors, forget all the speculation. She goes into depth because she was in the bed with him when he passed away. Let's get into some of this straight game.
Black chat. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Black chat. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
So Judy, you being Michael Moore's fiance,
Right.
There's been a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation in regards to how he died.
Right.
And I want you to clear this up for the world because you were there, you helped take care of him when he was sick, and so on and so forth. There's been rumors about Reggie Wright, Suge Knight, and he was killed because of the information that he knew about 2Pac and all of that situation. I want you to clear it up. You were there. How did Michael Moore die?
Michael had been up in the attic that day, and it was 130 degrees, and our air conditioner wasn't working properly.
And this is where, Arizona?
Yes.
Okay.
On July 31st, 2013. He went, and in Arizona, we don't have an attic with a floor. It's all beams.
It's all beams. Okay.
So he was up there working on the air conditioner. And because he was a firefighter, he was so adamant about following the rules of a firefighter, per se.
Okay.
So everything he said, I had to repeat.
Right.
Like they do, in the line of fire.
Okay. Got you.
So his son and his friend came over and they're like, "What's going on?" I said, "Your dad's up there fixing the air conditioning." Well, in our laundry room, there was a manhole. So the kids climbed up there.
Right.
Goofing off.
Okay.
And Michael was up there and he's like, "Get down."
Right.
He was up there for like 3 or 4 hours.
Okay.
And I kept saying, "Michael, what are you doing?" Because I was in a bad car accident in 2008.
Okay.
And I had 4 failed neck surgeries. My
Wow.
entire neck, my entire neck is fused, and none of them worked.
Okay. Got you.
So he refused to allow me to go up there because I get vertigo.
Okay.
With the height.
With the height. Okay. Got you.
And our ladder was not a ladder; it was rope.
Okay. Got you.
Because it's beams. It's not an attic.
It's not an attic. Right.
Right. Not like back east. Excuse me. So he was up there and he said, "I'm done. I'm going to come down." I said, "Okay." So as he approached, well, our house was huge. It was 5,000 square feet.
Right.
So
okay.
It was like pretty much on the other side that he was from where I was.
On the other side of the attic.
Right.
Okay.
Up there. It was pretty far away from where I was standing.
Right.
Down in the garage. I was in the garage actually, and he would have been like in our laundry room.
Okay, gotcha.
So as he was trying to get back over on the beams, his legs fell asleep and couldn't walk. He fell.
He fell through the roof?
No, he fell on the beams. He caught himself on the beams.
It's what? Okay, okay.
But keep in mind, it's 130 degrees.
Wow.
And no air. We have very dry heat. So I went straight up there. I massaged his legs and got him down.
Right.
Which was a feat in itself. Keep in mind, I'm 4'11".
Okay.
I weigh maybe 120 pounds soaking wet.
Right.
He's 6'2", 300 pounds. And I'm trying to get him down off a rope ladder to boot,
Right.
So we get in the house and I said, "Baby, you're not sweating. You're raining." So I got him an orange soda and I made him eat a banana.
Okay.
He just looked exhausted. His white out. Yeah.
Right.
So I said, why don't you go get a shower? Because he had all that dust and stuff from the air conditioner and he was sweating.
Right.
I said, and we'll take a nap.
Right.
So to this day, I can't believe I did this because I felt guilt for so long because it was my idea to take a nap.
Right.
So he fell asleep. Well, normally, that particular day I was facing him.
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that. And he was kissing me.
Right.
We fell asleep and I was wrapped in his arms. He came straight out of the shower. He laid across the footboard of the bed. We had a sleigh bed.
Okay.
So his back was against the sleigh bed and he was kissing me and he fell asleep. I fell asleep. I woke up with my back teeth chattering. My body was shivering.
Okay.
I had no idea what was going on because he always had it so damn cold in there.
Right.
So I got up, untangled myself from him,
Right.
went to the linen closet, got us a blanket, grabbed my cell phone, and I covered us up. Well, he hated when I was on the phone because he didn't have my undivided attention.
Right. Right.
So I checked my messages and I was playing a slot machine game because it was like 3:00 in the afternoon, 4:00 maybe. We ate dinner like between 6 and 7.
Okay.
I wanted to give him some time to rest because he was so tired when he came down.
Right.
And I tried to wake him and I said, baby, what do you want for dinner? Nothing.
He said nothing, or he didn't respond.
No response.
Okay.
No response.
Gotcha.
So I shook him and I said, Michael, wake up, wake up. He wouldn't wake up. Then I started to panic. So I went and got a glass of water and I threw it in his face.
Right.
I slapped him in the face. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. So Max was down at his son. He was 12 years old.
Right.
His youngest child. He had 3. He was playing football at the park.
Right.
He had just walked in our bedroom and I said, I can't get your dad to wake up. I'm going to call 911. He goes, Judy, you know my dad told us we're not allowed to call 911 ever. I said, Maximus, I am going to call 911.
Right.
So I call 911 and the operator is telling me, get him on his back, get him on his back, get him on his back.
Okay.
Well, here I am with 4 neck surgeries and I have neuropathy so bad, I can't hardly hold a coffee cup.
Right.
And I'm trying to pull this 300-pound man over on his back. I couldn't move him. I
Wow.
couldn't do anything. So I'm crying, I'm frantic, and I'm asking her, please, I've taken, I worked at the hospital. Tell me what to do. It's been years.
Right.
Guide me through it. Well, nope, I can't do that. He has to be on his back. I said, he's against a damn hard surface. Tell me what to do. And she said, I can't. I dispatched the paramedics. They're on their way. You should start hearing the sirens at any second. What I need you to do is just stay calm. Everything's going to be okay. Yeah, right. Go to the door, let them in. And when you let them in, then you can disconnect the call. But do not hang up with me until they arrive.
Right. Wow.
Well, I had already heard the sirens before she said it. So I went to the door and I let them in. I took them back to the bedroom. And it was a male and a female. And she told me I needed to leave. I said, the hell I do. So she escorted me out.
Wow. Okay.
So then she comes out and I'm standing in the kitchen pacing and she hands me his EKG. And she said, I'm sorry, but Mr. Moore has a flatlined. I went out cold. I was down on the tile so fast. I remember her with the smelling salts trying to wake me.
Okay.
And I look
So
at her.
you fainted?
Yeah, I passed out right away.
Right away. Wow.
Because it never crossed my mind. Why? I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. That's, you lay down to take a nap and then you wake up and, that's the last thing you expected.
Right. And here I am laying next to a cold, empty shell with the man I was going to spend the rest of my life with. used to reside.
Wow.
I was devastated. I never once thought that this was the case.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Because there's also been a harsh
Mhm.
disrespectful rumor out.
Yes.
I'm sure you've heard it.
Yes,
What
I
did you and who said it? I want you to say it because I don't want to say it.
Well,
Where-
Reggie said that Michael died of a steroid overdose.
Okay.
That was not true.
Reggie who? What's his last name?
Reginald Wright Jr.
Okay. Okay. So he
Which
said
is not true.
he said Michael died from a steroid overdose.
Correct.
Amazing.
Michael did not die of a steroid overdose. What Michael died of was a overdose on his pain medication. In addition to that, Michael was taking one of my pills that day.
Okay. And he was on pain medication based on
His back injury.
the fall that he had from the back
Right.
injury from being a fireman. Okay.
Station
Okay.
captain. Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
The police came, the paramedics came, the coroner's office came, my mom came, my sister came, my daughter came.
We have Judy Lachowski, Michael Moore's fiance, 2Pac's bodyguard. Like I said, thank you for coming on the show, a Straight Game TV, and clearing up all of the rumors, the lies, and giving us an in-depth personal view into who Michael Moore was, how he passed away. But most importantly, I want to thank you for your time, and it's your boy DELRAY, Straight Game.
Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Okay.
It's been widely reported,
Mhm.
and as well as from Michael's own mouth,
Mhm.
that he didn't like 2Pac,
Right.
right?
He did not. That's correct.
Right. And do you know, had Michael ever told you as to the reason why he did not like 2Pac Shakur?
Yes.
And why was that?
When they were coming back from Italy from the Versace show,
Okay.
fashion show,
Right.
Pac asked Michael, "You don't like me, do you?" He goes, "I can't fucking stand you." He goes, "Why don't you like me? You never liked me, but you protect me." He goes, "Well, I got to protect you from your own self. You are a cocky little prick. You cause more problems. You don't listen. You know you're supposed to wear that vest, and you don't. Unless I'm on duty, and I put it on you like a little kid."
Oh, wow. So Michael
goes-
Moore basically insisted that 2Pac wear his vest.
At all times. And
Wow.
he insisted that he drive downtown Compton with the roof down, the top down of the car. And Michael's like, "You pull shit that is so stupid beyond belief. And then you know that I'm going to step in and I'm going to put my life in danger to cover your stupid ass.
Right.
You start all these fights. You have all these issues, all these problems. You go to jail and then you come out and you do the same shit over again. And here I am protecting you
Right.
and you're being a jerk. And you expect me to like you too? I'm only here to get my job done. That's it. I don't have to like you. I never did and I never will." He told him straight out.
Well, I think that was like, not only, like I said, honest of Michael to say that. And like I said, not only are you saying that he explained to you the details, this is the first time I heard basically the Versace situation in regards to that. But not only did Michael say it, but like I said, you're saying the reason why, as to the reason why. And I could see him saying that, you know what I mean? Because like I said, once again in Vegas, we go back to Vegas. 2Pac was known to wear his vest.
Mhm.
And that
And he
night,
did.
He did not have the vest on. And I think, you know, when you think about that for what that's really worth, you say, well, yeah, you know, you say, well, damn, you know,
it could have saved his life. It would have saved his life.
It could have saved his life. Yeah, it could have saved his life. And like I said, I don't know if that was something that everybody else knew, that when Michael was on 2Pac, you know, he insisted that, you're gonna wear the vest if I'm guarding you, if I'm protecting you, because that's just because most people
put it on you.
Yeah, no, like you said, right? Like you said, he put it on him, but because like I said, most people wouldn't understand that that's part of. And I see now that you said that. I see now that was part of Michael's him being, he would be liable if anything would have happened to 2Pac under those circumstances. Right. And so he took his job, like you said, and like I said, I didn't know Michael Moore, but he took his job very seriously. And that's what
he
tells
wasn't
me.
there to party with him.
Yeah,
he wasn't there to get high with him.
Absolutely.
He was there to do his job.
Absolutely. And so therefore that lets me know, okay, cool. I don't like you. You know, I ain't gotta like you, and I ain't here to like you. I'm here to protect you. And I'm gonna right. Okay.
I have mad respect for Michael for doing that. Because
no. That's something that, like I said, once again, that's something that a lot of people don't know or didn't know. And like I say, you telling the story.
You know, and at the end of the day, they probably won't even understand the dynamics there, because it was so important to Michael to do his job correctly.
Absolutely.
And make sure this man stayed alive.
Yes.
His life was in his hands.
No.
And they may think it was something small, but it wasn't.
No. I think
stupid shit all the time.
No, I think the intelligent, like the people that are on my channel, I think a lot of those people will understand what you're saying, because like I said, once again, being liable, being liable. And like I said, because then you go to the situation of, you know, Michael was working, like you already told me, Michael was working supposedly for Right Way Security, but his checks were basically cut by Death Row. And so
figure that one out.
Yeah, figure that one out. But not only that, but like I said, so it was as if he understood that he was working with a subpar situation, and he had to raise the bar on his own, because he knew that if anything went down, I think Michael Moore already knew that if anything went down, that he'd be blamed for it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So he was like, let me do my job, because I'm not going to let them sit there and blame me for something that happened to you.
Yeah.
That Death Row cuts my checks, but I'm supposed to be working for Right Way Security.
Right. And quite honestly, if it were me, I wouldn't want to be the one to face Suge.
Yeah. And what another thing I liked about him is he didn't call him Suge. He called him Mr. Knight.
And you know what?
Yeah.
It's funny. It was not, when he would talk about himself,
right,
in third party, if he went to the doctor, he'd say, well, Mr. Moore, your back is blah, 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 blah. He even called himself Mr. Moore.
Right.
He was very respectful.
Yeah, no.
He called him Mr. Knight.
Yeah, and that's another thing, because like I said, he said actually before he left Death Row in that video, he basically said
he went and told him.
I wanted to tell Mr. Knight, like, you know, hey, this is what it is. And that sounds like to me somebody who was the ultimate professional, who took their job very seriously.
Oh yeah.
And the job of protecting 2Pac Shakur. And I believe that if Michael Moore was there that night, understanding what you're saying to me, that 2Pac Shakur would have had his vest on.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I firmly believe that.
Another thing he wouldn't have done is sit up front. Michael would never let him sit up front.
Is that right?
Oh, hell no.
Right. Okay. And so did he elaborate to you about that? About how some of the protocols and things that he would do? Oh,
definitely. All the time.
So what did he say about that?
He said there's no reason that Frank was not in that vehicle, number one. There's no reason he didn't have his vest on, number two.
Right.
Number three, why was he up front?
Yeah.
And why was Frank driving a different car that wasn't even his?
I guess because, like he said, Tupac told him to. So I mean,
Yeah, he threw him Kid keys.
but like now, once again, and so that kind of closes in on what you're saying, the buddy Frank, or the relationship that Frank
There you go.
had with him, and the professional relationship that Michael Moore had with him, because he wouldn't have allowed him to do what Frank did, and just certain things that he knew as a security professional. Like I said, you said he had took the classes on all of that stuff that he just wouldn't have allowed happen. Wow.
But they all took the same class. Just Michael had already taken it.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying, but once again, it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
How you do it.
Yeah, it's how you do your job.
Not who you are. It's who you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
When they were in New York, and Suge and Tupac had an altercation.
When Michael stepped in between.
And when Mike said he stepped in. Well, do you
He
have
had
any?
to.
Do you have any knowledge or any? Did he ever talk to you personally about that?
Oh yeah. He told me all about it. He said Michael had this. He was from California. I'm from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So the way we talk is completely different.
Right.
Well, Michael's way of saying that someone's going to hit you is they're going to put their hands on you.
Okay. Got you.
Back in Philly, being Italian, it was they're going to get you.
Right.
Whatever.
Absolutely.
Different language.
Absolutely. True.
I figured out what he meant. When he was talking, I knew what he was saying.
Okay.
But I'd been with him long enough to understand. But the point is when they were in New York, Pac was so pissed off at Suge that he told him, I'm done. After this, I'm done. Machiavelli is going to be my label.
Okay. Right. Machiavelli's going to.
Right. He was
Okay.
done. And he said, oh, hell no. You're not leaving death row. So there was a big.
So that's what Michael said that Suge told Pac.
Right. You're not leaving death row.
You're not leaving death row. Okay.
Contract. You're not leaving me.
Right. Absolutely.
And then Suge got up in Pac's face,
Right.
and Michael got in between them.
Okay.
Said if Suge would have touched him, he would have just killed him because Suge is a big brother.
Right.
And
Yeah. Absolutely.
tiny little fart in the wind,
Right.
And Michael's like, I had to jump in because who knows what would have happened.
Right.
He
Absolutely.
got bad.
Right.
So he got in between them and saved his life, really, because that's how pissed off the two of them were.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I found that, like I said, because a lot of people have speculated about that, and I just try to, like me personally, I try to deal with the factual,
Right.
the factual matter, and because a lot of people was like, well, yeah, that's why Suge had something done to him, and for me, no,
No,
not
it
even
wasn't.
hard. Yeah, I mean, you can have a disagreement or something like that, and yeah, it wasn't like Suge, and like I said, me personally, I don't believe Suge had anything to do with Tupac.
I never did.
Yeah. So I mean, for that's just for me and knowing that, huh?
He had too much to lose.
Yeah, he had too much to lose. And then when you go back and you look behind the scenes, like you don't have to be in the car with him while something like that goes down from that perspective.
Right.
And yeah, so we have Judy Lachowski, Michael Moore's fiance, Tupac's bodyguard. Like I said, thank you for coming on the show, a Straight Game TV, and clearing up all of the rumors, the lies, and giving us an in-depth personal view into who Michael Moore was, how he passed away. But most importantly, I want to thank you for your time, and it's your boy DELRAY, Straight Game. Tupac's bodyguard, Michael Moore's fiance, talks about who Michael Moore said came to pick him up at the Luxor Hotel on that fatal night in Las Vegas so that he couldn't secure Tupac Shakur. Also, Michael Moore's fiance talks about in detail with exclusive information in regards to the "got him" that Michael Moore said that he heard over on Reggie Wright's radio while they were standing outside of 662. Let's get into some of this Straight Game.
Black chat. Life is like the cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I got a very special guest this evening, a young lady by the name of Judy Lachowski. And I don't want to, introduce you, Judy. I want you to introduce yourself and explain to the viewers what is your relation to the situation involving death row and your connection to that in regards to that. I'm gonna let you go ahead and do that. Go ahead.
I am Michael Moore's fiance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, Michael Moore, for the people who don't know, for the people who do, Michael Moore was one of the security guards at death row. He worked under Right Way Security at that particular time, which was a security company, as we all know, ran by Reggie Wright Jr. And so what I want to do is I want to establish, a timeline, which really doesn't matter to me, because like I said, when you meet somebody and you have a conversation and you were his fiance, right? And I know it's some things that you know a lot about that a lot of people don't know about. You understand what I'm saying? So so you and Michael Moore met around what time?
2007, he moved to Arizona.
Okay, 2007, he moved to Arizona. And for the viewers who don't know, give me some of the intricate details in regards to when you guys met. You know what I mean? And so from that perspective.
Well, we were out in a bar.
Uh-huh.
I was out with my friends. He was by himself. We went out to the dance floor. I come back and he's sitting in the chair beside me.
Okay.
And he asked me to have a drink with him, and my friends wanted to leave. So I drove. I had to take them to their car. I came back, had a drink with him, and I was leaving for San Diego for a week, and he kept calling me and calling me and calling me, begging me to go to dinner.
Okay.
So we went to dinner, and we just 7 years we were together.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna get right into the gist of it.
Okay.
We understand, and we've heard a lot of things in regards to Michael Moore. We've heard a lot of people talk about and speculate about his death, why he died, and all of these things. But I know if you were his fiance, I know you have the intricate details as to the truth on what those are. And what I want you to do today is share that with the viewers. So if we can get into it from this perspective, Vegas. Let's go to Vegas. And then we're gonna work our way up. Let's go to Vegas. What do you know about Vegas? What do you know about, what did Michael Moore tell you specifically about Las Vegas and the things that transpired that night in Vegas in regards to 2Pac Shakur Suge Knight and what you may know?
Okay. Well, let me preface this with, I am from Philly.
Right.
And I have a filthy mouth.
Right.
And I'm going to say what Michael said.
Yes.
Word for word.
Absolutely.
Without any
filter.
Thank you.
Yeah, filter. Yeah.
Filter, that's a good word.
Okay.
Basically, he had already taken the class that everyone had to qualify for in order to be a guard in Vegas.
Okay.
He didn't have to go to the class.
So what do you mean? What do you mean by class?
Well, in Vegas, there's a class that you have to attend and get a certificate to be a bodyguard to carry a weapon in Vegas.
Okay. So you say he already took that class?
He had already taken it, right?
Okay, gotcha.
So he didn't have to repeat it. So when he arrived, Frank had arrived shortly thereafter.
Okay.
Frank had been put on vacation, and Pac was pissed off because he didn't know where Frank went, why he was gone, what had happened.
Okay, so let's be clear. We're talking about Frank Alexander.
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
Frank Alexander, gotcha.
So when Pac arrived and he seen Frank, he wouldn't speak to him initially.
Okay.
And they had Michael on Pac for the night.
And this is the night of September 13th.
Right.
This is the night of September.
Fight.
The night of the fight.
Right.
Okay, got you.
Well, they went to, I want to say TGI Fridays for lunch or what have you.
Right.
and all the guards were there. After that, they went to George Kalisis, the attorney's office,
Okay.
which is when at that point they were told no weapons could be carried. Michael said the reason that they were told this was because Suge was trying to buy 662. They could not have any weapons there because he was trying to get a liquor license.
Okay, got you. That was the reason that Michael told you was the reason that they had at the meeting. That was the reason that was stated. Okay, because Suge was trying to buy a liquor license for 662, so no weapons were allowed. Okay, continue.
So at that point, Michael stood up and he basically said, "Fuck you."
So hold on, pause. Did Michael say who said that specifically?
They went to George Kalisis's office.
Okay. Did he say who said it specifically?
It was George.
It was George. Okay, the lawyer. Okay, got you.
But keep in mind, Reggie was there with all the guards.
Okay, got you.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so he stood up and he said, "Fuck you. I am not going to guard the biggest rapper in the world and show up at a gunfight with a twig.
Absolutely.
Not happening."
Right.
So they basically ended the meeting there.
So it was ended abruptly from your understanding?
Very quickly.
Okay, got you.
Again, Michael was in the military and he was a very good shooter.
Okay.
With that said, he went back to his hotel room and he laid down and his phone blew up. He said that thing was going to blow up in smithereens. It just kept blowing up. And it was Reggie. Reggie had taken him off Pac's side.
So after the meeting, Michael Moore goes back to his hotel. Which hotel was he staying at?
I know it wasn't the MGM, but it was next door. The next one over.
Was it the Luxor?
Yes.
The Luxor. Okay. Right.
So Reggie ended up going to Michael's room.
So first you said Reggie called his phone.
He kept
calling
calling
Michael's room.
Michael said, "I am not answering that prick. I have had enough."
To who? To who? He said that to who?
He said to me.
Oh, he said that. Okay.
Answering that phone. Not happening.
Okay. So he said he wasn't picking up the phone.
Right. He said he kept calling him all day long. He was trying to take a nap and he knew he was going to have his hands full all night.
Right.
He said because he was under the impression still that he was going to be on Pac's side.
Okay.
He said, and once Pac got into the casino and he saw a crap table, there was no getting him out of there.
Okay. So now, but you said that Reggie came to the room.
Right. So Reggie comes to the room. He comes to the room and he says, "Let's go. You're going to 662.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Michael's like, "What? No, I'm guarding Pac tonight." He said, "No, you're not. You're going to 662. You're manning the door and you're going to make sure that when Pac arrives, there's no issues and you can get him in. So you'll be manning the door outside for his arrival."
Okay. Got you. Okay.
So in the meantime, Michael gets ready. They go to the club.
Right.
It's not open yet.
Okay.
So people started arriving that were working there.
Right.
Michael's outside with Reggie.
Right.
So it starts to get later and the fight only lasted a minute. So it wasn't really that long.
Right.
That he was there. So when he was outside next to Reggie, and they didn't go inside, he said 662.
They didn't go inside. Okay.
No,
so check this out. So take me back to
right.
Take me back to the part when you said was that early in the evening that they went to the casino?
They didn't go to the casino. He said he knew that he laid down to take a nap because he was tired and he knew that he would have his hands full if Pac was winning on a crap table.
Okay.
Out of there.
He wouldn't be able to get him out of there.
Right.
Okay, got you. Okay. I wanted to clarify that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So he said they were standing outside of 662 and people that were working there started to arrive.
Right.
Well, then other people started to arrive. throughout the rest of the evening until he was standing next to Reggie outside.
Right.
And across his radio, he clearly hears, "Got him."
Got him. Okay. So he clearly heard the got him over his radio. Okay.
Yep, that's what
So
he told me.
but they never, you saying they never went inside?
No, he said he didn't go inside. He was told to man
He manned the front door. Okay, got you.
for Pac's
But that's
arrival.
consistent. No, the reason why I say that's consistent with what Michael said on the interview that he did in that documentary.
See, I try not to watch him.
Oh, you try not to watch it, right?
It's too emotional for me.
Okay.
It's been 9 years now, but it feels like yesterday.
Absolutely, and I can understand that. So okay, so you standing outside, he
Right.
clearly hears the. So I got a question because I want to. What radio did he hear that on?
Well, apparently what he said was that Kevin Hackey, another body, he was in California still.
Okay.
And he had worked Michael's shift the night before.
Right.
And he accidentally took Michael's radio home. So none of the guards had a phone.
So Michael didn't have a radio.
None of the guards had radio that night.
Gotcha.
Only Reggie.
Only Reggie. Okay, got you. Wow.
And he was standing next to Reggie. So it came across Reggie's radio.
Got you. Okay.
Got him.
Wow.
Got him. Right.
No, hold on. Let me not mean to interrupt you, but I think this is very important from somebody who had a relationship with Michael Moore. And like I said, I haven't heard anybody other than yourself, when we conversated, that has told me this information. Like I said, I'm listening to what you're saying. And like I said, I believe, because like I said, Michael Moore has stated the same thing. And here's somebody who's stating consistently and basically exactly identically what Michael Moore said. So go ahead. So here's the got him.
Here's got him. And then he said, and not a minute later, like not even 30 seconds, he said, all of a sudden, he said he heard the voice before. He was white, but he wasn't exactly 100% sure at the moment.
Right.
But he heard, "Don't say anything else on the radio."
Wow. Okay. We have Judy Lachowski, Michael Moore's fiance, 2Pac's bodyguard. Like I said, thank you for coming on the show, a Straight Game TV, and clearing up all of the rumors, the lies, and giving us an in-depth personal view into who Michael Moore was, how he passed away. But most importantly, I want to thank you for your time, and it's your boy DELRAY, Straight Game.
Black chat. Life is like dealer's cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
What was Michael Moore's relationship ultimately with, because I heard the tape where Frank's talking to Michael and Michael's basically telling Frank that basically that Reggie wants him dead.
Yeah, there was a hit out on Frank.
Wow.
I overheard so many conversations that I did not need to hear. Trust me. Especially when Nick Broomfield came and did the documentary. I'm laying on the bed and my daughter and Michael are having a conversation about something. I don't even remember what. I go, "Look, baby, you're on TV." I saw a black man turn red. He was livid. I'm not kidding. He was so fucking mad.
What was he mad about?
He grabbed his phone. He went in the other room and I could hear everything. I have amplified hearing, which is really rare.
Right.
But I could hear everything. I didn't miss a trick either. But anyway, he said, "Get your fucking shit packed and get your wife and get the hell out of there."
Michael
was on the phone.
Talking to who?
Frank.
And he was telling Frank what?
"Get your wife and get your shit and get the hell out of there."
Oh, where they were living at.
Right. Because
Okay.
Nick Broomfield went to his house and he puts on camera his house, his dogs, his backyard,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
the whole world could see everything.
Absolutely. Oh,
So
and you
Michael
mean
was
when he
warning
went to
him
interview Frank Alexander, he
at his
walked
home.
up when he walked out. Oh, okay. And that wasn't wasn't supposed to be a part of what that was.
Well, Michael didn't even know it was happening.
Oh, he didn't.
No, he was never contacted.
Wow.
So
And so
once
did Frank know that they had filmed his all of
he was talking to him like he was his best friend. Michael was
Okay.
so pissed. And he
Right.
said, Frank must have said, "What the hell are you talking about?" And Michael said, "Your house, your driveway, your backyard, your dogs, you and your cowboy hat, the whole nine.
Right.
Everybody in the nation now knows exactly what your house looks like. If Nick Broomfield can come to your house, know where you live, who couldn't?"
Absolutely. Wow.
So now you've not only
So
put yourself
basically-
in danger,
So
your wife's
basically,
in danger.
yeah. So basically, Michael Moore was still on his security detail. He was like, dude,
Oh, hell yeah.
that's a security
It
breach
never
right there.
stopped.
People know
It
where you
never
live at.
stopped.
Absolutely.
Even,
Oh, wow.
even when he was in the hospital, one of the ladies that was put in the room as a sitter,
Mm-hmm.
she said, "It's funny." She said, "I had went to the bathroom or down to get something to eat, whatever. I came back and she goes, you know what's really funny is he's always looking around the room." She goes, "Do you know what that's all about? He was cased in his own room."
Oh, wow. Wow.
Even though he was not cognitively there,
Right.
he was still aware.
Absolutely. Wow.
So yeah.
Now this is
He got called Frank multiple times.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Like I said, that he would call Frank and tell him to get him and his wife out of there. And and like I said, and we heard on the tape what he had said, what he had heard from
Death row.
From Death Row, and how they
Hit
wanted
out
them.
on you. They
Yeah,
wanted
right.
him dead.
So
They
I got to
blamed Frank.
excuse me.
They blamed Frank, and yet Frank did nothing wrong. Frank was the type of person, according to Michael, who followed the rules.
Right.
He didn't color outside the lines,
Right.
per se, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
So because of that, he did his job the way he thought Pac wanted him to do it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I
So
mean,
he didn't do anything wrong. It
right,
wasn't his fault.
right. Well, I wouldn't say that he did anything wrong,
But there's a lot of things he didn't do right.
yeah. I would say that, instead of, being trying to be, 2Pac's friend, I think he should have been more like Michael Moore and do his job.
yeah.
But the thing about that is I go back to the facts and the firing of Right Way Protective Security Services and Reggie in particular. Frank seen that as a threat to his livelihood. And so therefore, to be on the team, right, he had to be a team player in regards to what 2Pac wanted him to do. And if he didn't do that, he would be fired also, because Frank had said that 2Pac had told him, no, you coming with me. That wasn't for you. That was for Reggie and his security company. You coming with me. So I understand what that meant.
It was for Reggie.
Oh, it was just for Reggie. Right.
Yeah. There was no right way.
That wasn't a Right Way security. So that was just for Reggie. He didn't want Reggie around. He did.
Right.
Did hold on. Did Michael Moore ever tell you or say anything in regards to why 2Pac didn't want Reggie around, or did he know about that?
He didn't trust him.
Or he didn't trust Reggie?
Mm-mm.
Wow, amazing.
Nope.
And instinctually, 2Pac
Yeah.
was right.
Oh,
Yeah.
beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, he was right. 2Pac was right. And
In
like I
fact,
said,
There was
ahead.
also a video done by him that said there was a Tim guy, I forget his last name, that was Michael's best friend,
a video done by who?
Reggie,
Okay.
about this. And he was his roommate in Vegas.
That Tim was his roommate?
Yeah. And his best friend. Well, I knew all of Michael's friends.
Right.
And I knew everybody he talked about and what their jobs were. and who they were. I never heard that guy's name in my life.
Well, how would that be relevant though?
Because
how would that even be relevant to
where that Michael was taken off of Pac,
right?
but no one else was. But Tim knew.
So
Whoever the hell Tim is.
So yeah, so I make up this person.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, who the hell are you?
Who's Tim? Yeah, who's Tim? Yeah, who is this?
I mean, really, it was so bizarre.
Yeah, no, you know what?
And the funny thing is when I first contacted you, you had done a video about the Gotham.
Right.
And I said, I'm going to send you a message on Instagram and show you and prove to you how right you really are.
Right.
And from that point, I just started getting slammed with messages. And there was actually a question about this Tim person.
Oh, based on a video that Reggie had did? No,
that when you did the video about here in Gotham.
Right, here in Gotham, right, okay.
And I said to you, I'm going to send you a message on Instagram and show you how right you really are.
Oh, okay, got you.
After I posted that on your video.
Oh, you posted on the YouTube video. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Right, okay, got you.
Someone had sent me a message saying about the Tim thing.
Oh, about the video that Reggie created some Tim character.
Yeah, this Tim guy.
Okay, got you.
How do you feel about this Tim guy? And I said, like I said, before, I had answered so many questions. I mean, I got hammered.
Okay.
And I was just in there trying to tell you, you're right, 110%.
Okay, got you.
Because you were like, okay, so I feel like Michael Moore is credible. I feel like he said the right thing. He was right. I don't recall the whole conversation.
Okay.
But you were justifying why you were right.
Right.
And how you were right.
Right.
And I was listening to you and I'm thinking, this man does not have a clue how spot on correct he is.
Right.
I need to let him know.
Okay. I appreciate that. Well, thank you. Thank you.
I normally don't reply or say anything because in the beginning, when people started to find out who I was,
right,
I got slammed. I mean, my phone on Facebook, because we only have Facebook, we didn't have Instagram yet or Twitter.
Absolutely. Okay.
I had to literally put a fake phone number on there and turn all notifications off. Wow. I kept getting so many calls in the middle of the night too. 24/7. People wanted to know what I knew.
What did you know? Right. No, and that's but that's the reason why I wanted to talk to you, because I knew that you would know more than the average person because of your relationship with Michael Moore. And
well, see, the biggest problem was people didn't realize that at one point, the law states that pillow talk, for lack of a better term of putting it, was not admissible in court.
Absolutely. Right.
It is now.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And not only is it admissible, but more importantly, like I said, once again, when you talked about the fact that this Tim character, right? See, that's another way to divert people's attention,
of course,
away from the facts by creating these fictitious characters that would once again make a person who's not aware or who wouldn't be aware of these tactics, right? These police tactics, right? Of create this,
obvious.
Let's create this little shiny object named Tim over here that nobody knew about or anything in regards to that, and maybe that might be an avenue, right? When
and that'll take the spotlight off of me.
Absolutely. When the fact of the matter is, like I said, when we go back to dealing with the situation involving 2Pac firing, and you, like you just saying, no, it was meant for Reggie, and not only that, see, you say that, right? But it was meant for Reggie. But guess who name that it had on there? It had his name on that fax. His name was written on that fax. It said Reggie. and Right Way Protective Services. But like I said, once again, I had looked the company up and I saw it for myself, and it did not exist. In
Never did.
95 and 96, there was not no incorporation of any Right Way Protective Services. That
I
wasn't.
couldn't find it in 2007 when I met Michael.
Yeah.
That's why I was even hesitant to even go out with him, because I didn't believe it.
Wow.
And then I
Wow.
was at work one day and he kept calling me and calling me. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this man won't let me go, won't let up. You know, like,
Right.
how many times can I make up a story that I can't be there? I'm washing my hair, you know. And my girlfriend walks in and I go, look at this guy. He won't leave me the fuck alone. And she
Right.
goes, do you know who that is? I go, no. And I don't care. She goes, that's 2Pac. He's standing with 2Pac.
Right.
I said, you're shitting me. She goes, no. And I said, you know, he told me that he was 2Pac's bodyguard.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, like, I'm not impressed. It
Okay.
takes a hell of a lot more than a title or money or houses
Absolutely.
and cars to impress
Absolutely.
me.
Absolutely.
And I didn't believe him.
Right.
And then he sends me a picture of him and Pac, you know, and I'm like, whatever, you know. And she walks in and I'm like, this guy is a trip. And she goes, well, that's 2Pac. I'm like, he said he was 2Pac's bodyguard, but I didn't believe him, so I blew him off.
Wow. We have Judy Lachowski, Michael Moore's fiance, 2Pac's bodyguard. Like I said, thank you for coming on the show, a Straight Game TV, and clearing up all of the rumors, the lies, and giving us an in-depth personal view into who Michael Moore was, how he passed away. But most importantly, I want to thank you for your time, you know, and it's your boy DELRAY. Straight Game.
Black chat. Life is like dealing cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
You said when Michael Moore passed away,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You were investigated for his murder.
Right.
What happened and what was the outcome of
Okay,
that
so-
situation? I'm sorry.
I was the personal representative. In the meantime, from the hospital incident to the time he died,
Right.
we went and got Maximus. We got back home. Everything was great.
Right.
He made me power of attorney of his medical and his financials.
Okay.
We sat down. We did a will. We had my mom, myself, or my daughter, and John, our insurance agent.
Okay.
They all signed it with Neva.
As witnesses.
Right. And he notarized it.
Okay.
Miss was at school that day, but we had called him in the room the night before when we were writing it. And Maximus, what do you want? If something happens to your dad, where do you want to live? You can stay here with Judy in the house in Arizona,
Right.
or you can go back with your mom in California.
Okay.
You decide. Oh, no, Dad, I don't want to go to California. I want to stay with Judy.
Right.
So Michael writes in his will, Judy's to get full custody of my son. So that night that he passed, I couldn't think, let alone find the will. And it was not a priority to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So they had to notify the next of kin because they didn't know. I couldn't produce a will.
Absolutely. Okay.
So they had to notify his dad. So his dad tells the investigator.
This is
Yeah.
Michael Moore's father.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
James Moore. He says, get my son out of that house, away from that white bitch.
Oh, wow.
And the investigator says, you do understand if we take him from the house, he'll go to Child Protective Services. He'll be in the system.
Oh, you mean the grandson he meant?
Mm-hmm.
Take Maximus out of the house, away from
Right.
you. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly. So they had no choice. That's what he said he wanted.
Yeah, they had no. Yeah, absolutely. Based on what they understood. Right.
Right. So John, which came out of nowhere, I never expected it in a million years. He's like, you can't do that. She is the only thing that child knows for 12 years, or, since 7 years, since kindergarten. And
Right.
his dad passed away, and you're going to take him away from that?
Right.
And he said, well, we don't have a choice. We have to.
Absolutely.
So he went around the room. He hugged my mom, my sister, everybody in the room, which was all my family.
Right.
And he was fine. But he was just like his dad. Very strong, kept it together, not one tear. And before he left, I said, do you want to go with me to see your dad before you go?
And so Michael Moore, his body is still in the house.
His body's still in the house.
Upstairs?
Well, yeah, because the downstairs was our gym.
Right. So upstairs in the bedroom. He was still upstairs.
He was still in the master.
Okay, got you.
I'm on a gurney in the body bag, but they didn't zip. They didn't have a zip.
They
Well,
didn't
they
have it.
Up to like his chest. Okay.
Okay. Wow.
They let us go back and say goodbye.
Okay.
So Maximus and I went back together, and we're holding hands. He stands on one side and I stand on the other.
Right.
And I broke down. I just totally lost it. And Max just stood there. He didn't, he was so young. He really didn't know what to do.
Right. Absolutely.
But he did want to see his dad.
Right.
So he came over to console me.
Okay.
So I kissed Michael on his cheek, told him I loved him. And he cried a tear of blood. One tear.
Wow.
And Max just went. I mean, we both just stood there like, what the hell was that? And I just lost it, totally lost it. Like I'm about ready to do now. So I didn't want to let go. And the guys that were there had to take me off of him.
Wow. So when did they get to the part when they started to investigate you?
Okay.
For that situation.
Okay. So they took him away. It took 6 months to get the coroner's report.
Okay.
So I get a phone call one afternoon, and I had already became the personal representative. I was already taking care of everything. No one contacted me from the family. Nobody wanted anything.
Had you produced the will at this time?
Yeah, I hadn't turned in everything.
Okay, you had to turn in everything, right? So did the police contact you? I mean, how did that work?
The investigators contacted me one afternoon, and he said to me, "This is John Flanagan, investigator Flanagan.
Right.
I am the investigator for Michael Moore's death."
Okay.
He said, "I need to talk to you about the coroner's report."
Oh, wow.
And he said, "You can come to my office. I can come to your home. Or if you feel better, we can meet at a neutral location, like a Starbucks or something."
Right.
I said, "No, I have no problem with you coming here. I have nothing to hide."
Right.
So I called my attorney and just let him know. And he goes, "Judy, don't say a word. Make him come here."
Right.
I said, "No, I'm not, Tom, because I am not paying you $250 an hour to know what you already know. I have nothing to hide."
Absolutely.
So he was so pissed off at me, but I didn't care. So he arrived. He sat down at my dining room table, and we talked for a good 2 hours.
Okay.
And he said to me, "Well, explain to me why Maximus called 911. I said, "Don't patronize me. Don't talk down to me. You will respect me in my home. And don't sit there and pretend as if you did not listen to that 911 tape. If you don't know the difference between a grown-ass woman and a 12-year-old little boy's voice, and you're going to sit there and pretend like you don't, we're done."
Right.
He goes, "Okay." He goes, "I need to ask you, did you call 911? I said, "You already know the answer to that question." He goes, "I need to hear you say it." I said, "Yes, I called 911. Are we done?" It's 2 hours. Then he says to me, well, we found methadone in Michael's system, and he was not prescribed methadone.
Right.
I said, I was prescribed methadone. Well, we took a picture of your pills, and yours were on the kitchen sink or the bathroom sink top. They were large to small bottles. I had them in I'm so OCD. The biggest one to the smallest one.
Okay.
We have pictures of them. We also have pictures of the inside of the safe where Michael kept our pills normally. And some of your extra ones were in there as well.
Right. Right.
I said, yeah, because I take them as I need them.
Right.
Unlike some people take them as they're directed. I don't like walking around like a zombie.
Right.
And I suck it up as long as I can till I can't take it anymore.
Absolutely.
So my count would never be right.
Okay.
Because when
the count on your pills, you mean?
Pills. When you go to
Right.
pain, your count has to match the number of days in the month.
Okay, got you. Oh, I see.
Urine specimen.
Right. Right.
That other stuff. So we were seeing the same doctor. And Michael would go to the pharmacy, to Walgreens,
Right.
for their medication together.
Okay. So so the officer basically says that Michael had methadone in his system, and
Right.
basically he wasn't prescribed methadone. You were
Right.
prescribed methadone. So
Mhm.
basically he's thinking that you gave Michael or put methadone in something that he had.
Well, see, that's what I didn't get.
Okay.
Because I took it as I gave it to him. But then when I did an interview with someone else, I forget who it was so long ago,
Right.
then the things that people commented just blew me away. Because
So basically, no. So what I'm trying to get to is the gist of what happened in that process. So how did the summation of that come up? What was the result of this investigation in regards to you?
well, he said that he was getting 50 emails a day from the family about me,
Okay.
and that they felt that I had given him the methadone.
Right.
And I said, well, how would I have done that? Because Michael did what he wanted to do with who he wanted to do it, when he wanted to do it, because he wanted to do it.
Right.
Nobody could change his mind.
Okay. So basically what was the result of the investigation?
Right. When I told him that Michael went to the pharmacy and picked our medication up together,
Right.
he said, so you mean to tell me he went to the pharmacy to your house with the medicine alone? Well, yeah, if I wasn't with him. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
It never made a difference to me because it got home to me.
Right.
And like I said, my account would always be off anyway.
Okay.
Because I didn't take them enough.
Right.
Because I didn't like to be that whacked out.
Absolutely.
So he starts asking me other questions that I thought were extremely inappropriate.
Right.
And I said, we're done. And he goes, well, you need to answer the questions. I said, no, I don't. He said, yes, you do. And if you don't answer them here, you can answer them at the station. I said, I'm not going to sit here and answer one question about our sex life. Okay? Okay. You have asked me enough questions. And I told you 3 times now, we're done. It's my turn. Number 1, did you find ligature marks on his neck? No. Was there bruising on his neck? No. Was his esophagus, his voice box, or his larynx swollen?
Right.
No. Were there any fingerprints, any bruising on his neck? No. I said, okay, you just answered 4 questions and they were all no. Why are you asking me this question?
Right.
Because apparently I was the only one that was doing it right. I didn't have to choke him. Figure
Okay. So what happened? Basically, what happened? I mean, he asked.
Well, quite honestly, it was quite bizarre. We get to the front door. He's ready to leave now.
So this is after a 4-hour conversation, or should I say interrogation?
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Here's the thing. He said he wanted to talk to me about the coroner's report.
Okay, that was right. Absolutely.
So I had no idea at this point. That's not what it was.
Ah.
So we get to the front door.
So he basically lied.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So we get to the front door and he goes, "Is anyone here?" I said, "No." He goes, "Do you have a radio on?" "No." I said, "Wait a minute. Why do I hear my voice? Why am I listening to my own voice? Where's that coming from?" He pulls the tape recorder out of his pocket.
Oh, wow.
And I go, "Were you recording our conversation?" He said, "Oh, yeah. All murder investigations are recorded." I go, "What?
Wow.
You have to notify me. You have to tell me that you're recording me." "No, I don't." I go,
No, by law, he doesn't have to tell you. But I just find it ironic that he lied.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He didn't even say, I'm coming to investigate you for murder. I would have had my attorney there.
Absolutely.
Not that I needed him, but I would have felt more comfortable with the situation.
Absolutely. So he basically was investigating you for the murder of Michael Moore.
Exactly.
Wow.
Because he had, and I calculated it. I got a copy. I didn't get a copy prior to his arrival.
Right.
But I did get a copy in the mail.
A copy of what? The coroner's report? Okay, gotcha.
I sat down, and my niece is a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
So I called her, and she broke it down. I'm not good at math. And he had one pill based on his body weight and how we calculated it.
Okay.
The dosage of one pill.
Right.
Mine. The rest were all his.
Wow.
And he had one hell of a cocktail.
Okay. So basically, Michael Moore died from an accidental overdose.
Right.
Of opioid pills. Okay, gotcha. So no, I'm glad we were able to cover that in, so we could help like the public understand, because like I said, Michael Moore, a lot of people talk about him in relation to the death row situation, as I asked you in the beginning in regards to how he passed away. But I wanna slide to the so what was because there was a lot of conversation between Michael Moore and Frank Alexander, right?
Oh yeah.
So what was Michael Moore's and Frank?
But let me clarify one thing for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Like I said, Michael was very strong, very, difficult.
Right.
But I loved him. That didn't change a thing.
Right.
But the things that people were saying were just so cruel and so evil, and things that I would have never, ever in a million years thought of. They accused me of putting it in his food and putting it in his drinks. And I mean, people came up with some crazy shit.
Right.
Of how I killed him.
Right.
With the drugs and the overdose.
Absolutely.
And the kicker was Michael was actually addicted to his medication, but he was functioning properly. So I had no clue.
Absolutely. Okay.
But
no, I mean that's not uncommon though.
Well, it is to me.
Okay. But I'm saying
I never experienced anything like that. But my brother had passed away 2 years prior to Michael the same way. And my brother was not functionable.
Right.
So I would have never thought that Michael was hooked on his drugs.
Okay.
And the things that people were saying were so far-fetched.
Basically, people, when they don't know, what they do is they speculate. And it makes for a great conversation.
And it was crazy because I was like, well, you know so much about that. How do I know it wasn't you that did it? I mean, the things that they were saying were so bizarre and twisted. It was sickening.
So basically, the summation of it was that they found out that you had nothing to do with it.
Right.
Okay.
I mean.
No, I'm saying. I mean, basically, that's the gist of it, because you're sitting here.
Yes, that was the outcome.
Because you're sitting here talking to me. We have Judy Lachowski, Michael Moore's fiance, 2Pac's bodyguard. Like I said, thank you for coming on the show, a Straight Game TV, and clearing up all of the rumors, the lies, and giving us an in-depth personal view into who Michael Moore was, how he passed away. But most importantly, I want to thank you for your time, and it's your boy DELRAY, Straight Game.
Life is like cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
You know why?
Why is that?
Michael had a head injury in January of the same year. He doesn't remember what happened.
Right.
And on New Year's Day, he didn't want to do anything for New Year's Eve because his back hurt.
Okay.
And it pissed me off.
Right.
Because I wanted to go out. So I made my 8-month pregnant girlfriend, or so she was 7 months pregnant. And we just went to the casino. We had a drink. I had a drink. She had a foo-foo.
Right.
Whatever. And then we went back to her place. And I stayed there for the night because I was too pissed off to go home.
Okay.
So the next morning I woke up and I was like, okay, Judy, new year, new day. Go back, make it right.
Right.
I get back to the house and I knew he was there. And I looked everywhere.
Right.
Keep in mind, we had a 7-bedroom house, 2-story.
Okay.
And we had a bonus room outside of the house, which is our 3rd-car garage, and a pool out back. So we had a huge acre lot. And I'm walking through the house, calling him. We couldn't find him anywhere. Like, what the hell? Well, maybe he walked down with Max to the park, whatever, his son. And as I was leaving, we had this great big piece of machinery because he was putting black bamboo flooring in.
Okay.
So it would cut the wood and stuff and, place it. And
okay.
We had an odd shaped room. So I just happened somehow to catch his feet. It was strange. It was so weird.
To catch his feet? What do you mean?
He was laying on the opposite side of that machine.
Oh, wow.
And he was just staring at me. He wasn't talking. He wasn't moving. He was only breathing.
He was only breathing. Okay.
He was looking at me. I had no idea what the hell happened, where Max was, what was going on, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately called 911. And on the way to the hospital, I'm following the ambulance and I'm calling his dad.
Right.
And he says, and his father was at that point, it was 2013, January 1st.
Right.
He's 77 years old. Didn't understand what I was saying. So he asked me to call his sister.
Okay.
Michael was the only boy of 3 girls. Mama's boy.
Okay.
And his mom had passed the previous year. So I called his sister, told her what had happened. She said, well, where's Maximus? I said, the neighbor lady said that he was down at the park with the kids, her kids, playing football, and she would make sure that she got him. We exchanged phone numbers. I was going to come back and get him after I got Michael settled at the hospital and figured out what was going on.
Right.
Well, they thought he had a mental breakdown. I said, there's no way. You didn't do a CT, you didn't do an MRI, you didn't do an EMG, nothing.
Right.
Well, his blood pressure was so high that he couldn't leave the hospital.
Oh, wow.
So I went to leave and he grabs my hand. But when the doctors came in, the nurses came in, he wouldn't do, he wouldn't even look at him. But it was as if he knew me.
Right.
At least I wanted it to be that way.
Absolutely.
So then I had went to the hospital every single day for 13 straight days before 6 a.m., before he woke up.
Right.
And he didn't go to sleep till like 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Right.
So I didn't go until he actually fell asleep. Because if he thought I was leaving, he wouldn't go to sleep.
Okay.
Now keep in mind, anytime someone's admitted with what they think is a mental breakdown or any variation thereof, where they're going to put them in a state mental hospital,
Right.
they put in the room what's called a sitter.
Okay.
And that sitter will not leave that room without a replacement. It could be an LPN, CNA, whatever.
Right.
They're employed by the hospital, and they're there for the safety of the patient and their employees.
Okay. Absolutely.
So no given moment would I have ever been alone with Michael.
Right.
Well, I had to beg them to put a catheter in because I was cleaning him up. They wouldn't
Okay.
do it.
They wouldn't do it. Okay.
They were giving him his medicine for his back, and he wouldn't eat unless I fed him because he didn't know how.
Right. Wow.
And the craziest thing is, on the 12th day, my former neurologist from the car accident
Okay.
was riding up in the elevator, and I knew he didn't remember me, but I knew exactly who he was. I saw him there every day.
Right. Right.
He was doing rounds. And on the 12th day, he said, and he was Asian, so I can't say it without sounding that way. It's funny,
Right.
but it's not funny. He said, "Pretty lady, what you do here?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, I do round, you here. I go back hospital, I go back to office, I come back, I do round, you still here, you get paycheck? I said, "No, my fiance is laying here. His blood pressure's too high for them to move him, and they're going to put him in a state hospital without doing a CT, an MRI, a EMG, EEG, anything. They did nothing. And I've been taking care of him around the clock." His family never showed up in Arizona. In fact, they never been to Arizona.
Wow.
So he said, "Pretty lady, I do for you today." I'll be a son of a bitch. I was right. Michael had gray matter on his brain, which indicates a head injury.
Okay. Wow. Amazing.
Right.
That was a blessing. Like I said, somebody that you knew that not that you knew, but you remembered him, and
Right.
he had asked you that, and then you come to find out and you explained to him what while you were there and the service or the care that Michael wasn't getting at that particular time, and to find out that he was able to help you. Yeah, that's a blessing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So then that night at 9 p.m., no, the following night, it was my niece's birthday, January 13th of 2013. Well, that day, the family had asked me to find a neuro rehab where they were going to admit him
Okay.
because his blood pressure had started to come down. And
Wow.
they were going to admit him that night, following night. So that next day, I found a rehab. I set it all up. I took care of everything. And I went the next, well, they took him that night at 9 o'clock, which was odd. But anyway, I went to the neuro rehab.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Yo was the doctor at the rehab. Dr. Yu was my old neurologist that did the studies.
Wow. Dr.
So I'm
You and
talking-
Dr. Yo. Wow.
You and Yo, right?
Right. Right.
So I'm talking to Dr. Yo, and it was real early in the morning. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was there, and we're having this conversation, and he's telling me how imperative it is that I'm there.
Okay.
Because I'm explaining to him, well, while he was in the hospital, he kept grabbing my arm. He was trying to kiss me. And he goes, he knows you. That's why he wouldn't talk to any of the nurses or anybody or try to have any interaction, because he didn't know them.
Okay.
He remembered you. It's going to be imperative that you be here as much as possible, because that's going to speed up his recovery.
Okay.
Well, as we were talking, one of the nurses comes in. She goes, "Are you Judy?" I said, "Yes, I am, but I'll be with you in just a second. I'm talking to the doctor." And she said, "I need to talk to you." I said, "Like I said, when I'm done with the doctor, I'll be happy to talk to you."
Right.
So he says, "Just make sure that when you come in, you come early so he gets to eat." Because he
Right.
wouldn't eat if I wasn't there. He didn't get to eat at all.
Right. Okay.
'Cause they weren't going to take the time to feed him. He literally had basically reversed his brain back to being a child. He didn't have any concept of numbers, letters, colors. He couldn't feed himself. Nothing.
Oh, wow.
He was messed up. So I turned around and I said, "Look, when I'm done, I will talk to you. Until
Right.
then, well, I told her step away."
Right. Absolutely. Okay.
So the doctor said to me, "Well, just go see what she wants, and I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll take things from there, and we'll figure out a plan."
Right.
So I go outside and I go, I worked in the hospital. I have never experienced anyone interrupting a person talking to a physician. And he was the head doctor there.
Right.
And he was very irritated. And I was pissed.
Okay.
And she proceeds to tell me, "Well, if you come back here, you will be arrested. You will be considered trespassing."
Oh, wow. Why
Like,
would
what
she
the
say that?
fuck?
Why would she say that?
I said, "What the fuck?" She said, "Well, the next of kin has banned you from the rehab."
Wow.
I said, "Do you have a phone?" She said, "Yeah." I called his dad. I said, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Oh, wow.
And he said, "Well, you were giving Michael his pain pills and taking drugs into him while he was in the hospital." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? I'm on my way to that hospital, and I want to see where that's written. Because if that's the case, I should be in bracelets down at the station."
You say you should be what?
In bracelets down at the station.
Oh, in bracelets down at the station. Okay, gotcha. Should be
Meaning
arrested. Right.
handcuffed.
Should be arrested. Okay.
Right, exactly. So I went back to the hospital. And I got as far as the boss of the charge nurse. And everyone kept saying, "Well, what are you talking about?" Like I was an idiot. That's how I
Right.
felt. They
Absolutely.
had no clue. And I escalated this to the president of the hospital. I was so pissed. It was all bullshit.
So it was a lie.
It was a lie.
We have Judy Lachowski, Michael Moore's fiance, 2Pac's bodyguard. Like I said, thank you for coming on the show, a Straight Game TV, and clearing up all of the rumors, the lies, and giving us an in-depth personal view into who Michael Moore was, how he passed away. But most importantly, I want to thank you for your time, and it's your boy DELRAY, Straight Game.